Welcome to Clue 2 of the Westknits Mystery Shawl Knit-Along. You've just finished rows 81 and 82 with those double yarn overs. That was that fifth row of double yarn overs. So we just finished working with color A. We broke colors A and B. We have these little tails hanging over here. And we have all these big holes. And we're going to start section 2 over here next to these selvage stitches. We're going to start at this corner, and we're going to use this needle. So we're going to grab color C for section 2, and we're going to pick up and knit 39 stitches with the right side facing, 1 stitch into each selvage stitch. So starting here with this color B stitch, I'm going to insert my needle from front to back. I want to make sure you get both legs of that selvage stitch, and then knit with color C. And continue to knit across these selvage stitches from front to back 39 times. So here I'm reaching my 39th picked up and knit stitch, and I'm reaching that big gap where a cast on edge was at the beginning of clue 1, and I'm going to knit my 38th stitch, and this is the 39th picked up stitch. It's another color B stitch. So that's my 39th stitch, and now I'm going to cable cast on 5 stitches using the cable cast on method. So to do this, I need to turn the work to the wrong side and use the other spare needle and insert that this right needle from front to back in between the 2 stitches. So not going into one stitch or the other, but in the gap between those 2 stitches. Wrap around to knit and place that stitch back onto the left needle. And again, from front to back into those 2 stitches. We're going to do this for a total of 5 stitches being cast on. Number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Turn your work back to the right side and continue to pick up another 39 stitches into this selvage edge, these selvage stitches. So again, we're going to start with this color B stitch. This is my white color B from front to back. That's number 1. And into color A, number 2. So continue picking up stitches from front to back a total of 39 times, and then you'll reach these live stitches over here. Here I'm approaching that 39th stitch, number 38. The 39th stitch will be another color B stitch. So go into that stitch, and then you're going to knit 1 stitch from your needle, that live stitch. That's your knit 1. And then you're going to do a yarn over twice, and then knit 204 stitches. That is a lot of stitches. 204, and that will be knitting all the way halfway until you reach the middle of this live row. So we'll be knitting 204 stitches, which will take us all the way to this big opening right there. Here I've knit 200 total stitches, and I see this last big hole. So we're going to knit a total of 204 stitches, but if you lose track, if you lose count, just look for this last big hole, and you'll see these 10 stitches from that last wrong side row from section 1. Those 10 stitches, we're going to work half of them. So knit until you reach that hole, and this is my 201 stitch, 202, 203, 204, that's 204 stitches, and then we're going to slip that last stitch with yarn in front and turn our work to the wrong side row. And we're going to work back on the wrong side until we reach that double yarn over. And you can place all of these remaining 206 stitches on the other side on a spare circular needle or waste yarn. We're going to save those for another day. So continue on the wrong side to knit until you reach that double yarn over. Here I'm knitting to that double yarn over at the corner, and I reach that double yarn over, and I'm going to knit one, purl one into each yarn over. This is the same treatment, the same yarn over treatment as we did in that 5 yarn overs from section 1. So that's that first yarn over, and a knit one, purl one into the second yarn over. A total of 4 stitches into the double yarn over. And continue to knit to the last stitch and slip that last stitch with yarn in front for row 2, wrong side. In clue 2, there are also some little short row turns. Here is the short row in row 3, right side. I knit to the last 11 stitches. 11 stitches remain. I turn the work to the other side, to the wrong side, and continue to knit. No slipping stitches or wrapping required. In row 5 right side and row 47 right side, the instruction reads knit to middle of yarn over hole. Now what does that mean? Well, we're going to knit until we reach the middle of that hole. So here I am on row 5 right side, and I'm knitting until I reach that most recent hole, this double yarn over, and there's 4 stitches coming from that hole. 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches coming from that double yarn over. We want to knit to the middle of this yarn over, so half of 4 is 2. So we're going to knit 2 more stitches. And now we're at the middle of that yarn over hole. We got 2 over here and 2 over here. So that means we're ready to do another double yarn over. Yarn over twice and continue to knit. Now I'm going to show you how to close the short row gaps in row 47 right side. If you don't want to see the knitted fabric yet in clue 2, then press pause, because I'm about to show clue 2 in all its glory. So press pause if you don't want to see. If you do, here's row 47 right side. Look at all of my pink color C in clue 2. Got these nice double yarn over holes with the knit one, purl one into each yarn over. I'm in the process of working row 47 right side. I just repeat rows 5 and 6 7 more times, and I started working row 47, and I'm knitting to the middle of my yarn over hole. Here's my yarn over hole with the 4 stitches. So I'm going to knit those first 2 stitches of that yarn over hole, do my yarn over twice, and now I'm going to knit to the last color C stitch while closing the short row gaps. So first there's a few stitches until you reach that first short row gap, and it's very obvious where that gap is. I'm going to show you how to close that gap. So knit every stitch until you reach that gap. Now I'm at the gap. Use your left needle and you can pick up the garter bump on the front of the work. This garter bump, you're going to pick that up with the left needle and knit 2 together. And that closed that short row gap. Continue to close every short row gap until you reach the last stitch, and you're going to slip that last stitch with yarn in front. Here I'm reaching another short row gap. So I'm going to knit that stitch. I'm at the gap. I'm going to insert my needle to pick up the garter bump on the front of the work. You can also pick up the stitch on the side, that bump right there on the side, but I like to go into the front stitch because it's really easy to stick my left needle in there. Knit 2 together. Continue closing all the short row gaps until you reach the last stitch. Slip 1 with yarn in front, that last stitch. Here is row 48, wrong side. I knit to my double yarn over and worked a knit 1, purl 1 into each yarn over, and now I'm knitting again to the last color C stitch while closing the short row gaps. So here I'm past the double yarn over and I'm on my way to knit to the last color C stitch. I reach the short row gap, and we're going to start closing the gap in a similar way to the right side row by inserting the left needle into that garter bump. But now we're going to do a slip, slip, knit. We're going to slip that bump knitwise, slip the stitch across the gap knitwise, and then we're going to knit two together through the back loop. I'll go to the next short row gap and show you again. Knit to the short row gap. I'm at the gap. Pick up that bump from bottom to top on the front, that garter bump, and do a slip, slip, knit. Knitwise, knitwise, knit two together through the back loop. Do it one more time in real time. So what that does is close the short row gap, and when we look at the right side, that short row gap, that slip, slip, knit mounted the stitch so it flows evenly in this column to where that slip, slip, knit is. There's no twisting, there's no puckering, no bunching that happens. It's a nice, even join. So continue to close the short row gaps on the wrong side until you reach the last color C stitch, and you'll slip that last stitch with yarn in front and break color C, and then you'll be ready for clue 3. I'll see you next week.